Hey, good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Aisha. Your voice is kind of down. I don't know why. It's 11 a.m. Happy Monday, right? Um,
Yeah.
I can't quite say happy Monday. Monday is not. I would say about Thursday you will be happy, but Monday clearly not. But um, we gotta, we better encourage ourselves, on the first day of the week. Otherwise, we don't. We got to motivate ourselves, right? Otherwise, Um, we have. Looks like we have 10 people in the collaborate. Let me just quickly go over. Okay, 10 people, and let's check how many people are in the discussion board forum. Okay. Well, exactly 11. I mean, 10 people. I mean, except myself, right? 10 people. So uh, the numbers match, right? On both, in both, what should I say? In both sessions or both. And one more person is
Good
Jason.
morning, Professor.
Hey, good morning, Jason. Morning. So
How was
we
your
have,
weekend?
well, it was I would say usual,
Right.
usual.
Typical, right?
Not, yeah, nothing in particular.
Right.
Um, I think some people were confused about the midterm because I just want to bring this up because um, in the assignments, I mean, in the announcements, right? It clearly says. Um, It's going to start this Friday, this, right? Friday the 29th. But some people were, um, actually, one person got confused and, sent me an email that she cannot find the exam. Um, but, it's going to be this weekend, okay? Midterm this weekend. All righty. So, okay, 11 people exactly. Now, so actually, we are starting on a new topic. Actually, the topic started already. Um, you should know. I mean, we are about to uh, by the main lecture. Uh, we are actually finishing up topic three by the main lecture, and that's why today the last videos of the topic three, last videos have been released. Um, okay. So, actually, we have been into topic three since last available October 11th. So, October 8th, since October 8th. So, we're kind of 1 month behind. Um, I mean, Collaborate session is like 1 month behind. But this topic, time value of money, is something we already know. Um, but to very to some limited extent, because what we covered in the first topic, return on investment, was the very basics. So let me use whiteboard. Okay. Okay, that's about right. So, we already know about the pretty much, okay, when you say time value of money, that's basically, compounding. In other words, it's about future value and present value, right? And from the day one, you learned what the compounding is about. Compounding is basically the interest rate, right? The interest rate gets compounded. So when we this is a very basic example, right? So I'm not going to go over this again. I'll just have to go over this briefly. So let's say we have principle of $10K, and interest rate is 10%. A dollar sign. Interest rate is 10%. And if time is 10 years, and you might think, so it's 10% interest rate, so interest must be $1,000 every year. Then 10 years later, there's going to be $20,000 because over 10 years, each year it's 1K. So 1K times 10, 10K. So 10 years later, 20K. No, that's simple interest rate, right? That's simple interest rate. So we already understand this because that's what we talked about compounding at the beginning of the semester. Actually, what happens is, interest rate gets at the end of the first year, there will be, of course, at the end of the first year, there will be 11K, right? Future value 1 at the end of year 1. There will be, 11K because, principal plus interest, we know, is 10K. Plus 1K. Right? Of course, this 1K is the result of P times R times T. In other words, if I break it down further, interest is the result of P times R times T, where T is 1, right? Because it's 1 year, right? You don't have to write that because it's 1 year, right? And then, of course, 10K times 10%. So 1K, right? And of course, we know if you factor out the common factor, it becomes, right, 1 plus R. So at the end of the year one, we know there's going to be 11K. But then we know also, we also know, now, this is what, I gotta put it in another space. Well, we know at the end of future value at the end of year two won't be, will be a 12.1K, because think about it. At the beginning of year two, FV1 is sitting there, right? Right? This 11K is already sitting there, right? And that 11K will be earning interest of 10%, right? Which can break down into a FV1 plus then FV1 times R. And simply from the fact that it's not the principal, original principal of 10K sitting at the beginning of each year, right? That this gives rise to the this gives rise to compounding. In other words, because it's not 10K anymore, it's 11K at the beginning of year two, right? That's going to earn 10% interest, right? So the interest gets compounded, right? And at the beginning of year three, then it will be FV2 sitting there. So therefore, if I factor out FV1, is going to look like this. But again, because FV1 is already defined as P times 1 plus R, right? That's already defined as FV1, right? If you rewrite it, if you rewrite FV1 by its own definition, we come to this. And therefore, it will eventually become this. And we can extend this logic. We can extend this logic over and over. So we arrive at, eventually, we arrive at this formula, right? We arrive at this. Eventually, we arrive at this formula, right? So then, that's called, compounding. But then let's reverse the logic. So, and we can then tell, okay, what's going to be the future value at year 10, right? Keeping the same, initial conditions, right? Then it's going to be, of course, P times 1 plus R raised to 10. And we know the initial conditions are still the same. This is 10K. And this is 10%. All you need to do is simply then 10K times 1.1 raised to 10, which is not a difficult thing. I mean, you can use the calculator and easily do that, right? You can easily where's the? It's going to be roughly, it's going to be more like 25,000. But let's do that. 10K times 1.1 raised to 10. Yeah, 25,937.42. It will be what was the result? 937.43. 937.43. Now think about it. Compared to simple interest rate, right? If you use simple interest, and I told you we already talked about simple interest rate because in factoring, right? We talked about factoring. Factoring is simple discount, basically, simple discount, and in factoring. But the simple discount is used only for short-term money market, right? In other words, in the when time is less than 1 year, right? Maturity is less than 1 year. That's short-term financial market called money market, and simple interest rate is used only in. So in long-term capital market, right, long-term financial market or capital market, there's no way simple interest rate is used. It will always be compound interest rate. But if we use, simple interest rate, the answer is, we already got it. If you use, simple interest rate, it's going to be 20K only. Right? So obviously, which is better? I mean, from the investor's perspective or from the lender's perspective, right? Compound interest rate wins out, right? And then if we reverse this logic, think about it. This is the future value, right? Year 10. Of course, that's what it says, future value. And people generally, this should be like a, this should be like a second nature, but most students don't look at this. I mean, when there's an equal sign, right, that means it is equal to this, and it is equal to this. So then they should be able to connect this with this. But a lot of students fail at that. And this is the problem of people who don't read and people who don't write, because all they do is, just text message, short text message. And short text messages are not even a complete sentence. And sometimes when students send me an email, I get so frustrated because some students send an email like a text message. There is no period. The sentence doesn't end. I cannot tell where the sentence ends. I mean, everything is just lumped up together. Just everything is. So if you read it, then, if this is a spoken language, it would still be confusing in spoken language as well. because you have to put a, if you have to put a period where your sentence ends, but some students completely don't do that. So, and they think that that message is intelligible. Clearly, it's not intelligible at all if you write it like that. But then people who are not used to writing, then their writing cannot be even one paragraph long, right? There's no paragraph. It's just, there's no sentence. I mean, because they don't put any period. No sentence, therefore no paragraph. And that kind of habit results in this poor language habit. And then because they are never used to reading a compound sentence, or and in a compound sentence, there will be a lot of clauses like relative with relative pronoun or relative adjective, like in other words, what I'm talking about is this: future value at time 10 is equal to this, which is then equal to this. In other words, it can be read like is equal to this, which is equal to this. Obviously, you cannot write it like that because x0 and x1 won't be the same thing. Which is equal to this. In other words, this is a kind of compound sentence, right? Okay. This is a kind of compound sentence, and the sentence must end here. Now, look, something like comma, and relative pronoun like which, I mean, these make up a compound sentence. And if you're used to this kind of sentence structure, then you won't be difficult to understand. Oh, this is called subject, right? FV10 is eventually x2, right? Which is called complement, right? Sentence structure is basically what's going on? The sentence structure is basically subject, verb, plus complement, right? And this verb is verb be, right? Which is always followed by a complement. It's not an objective, right? It's not an object, right? Because if you say dollar is green, a dollar bill is green, right? That green is not an object, right? It's called complement, right? It complements the predicate, right? It complements the sentence with the verb be. But I'm not, this is not my this is not my original intention, right? I mean, to talk about the classical grammar of the sentence structure. But the point is, um, if you are used to a compound sentence, then it won't be difficult to understand that this is eventually this, right? Okay. People these days, people are just used to a very short text message, which is not even a complete sentence. And then, beyond that short sentence, they can't comprehend. They can't comprehend, right? And it's a deplorable thing. It's clearly a deplorable thing. And so, especially on college level, if people cannot, if people have hard time comprehending or writing a compound sentence, that's a very that's very deplorable, right? Now, so what I'm okay, too much of that. What I'm trying to say is, okay, let's flip the scenario, and so suppose you are expecting a payment of 25. This is almost, let's just call it 26K because it's almost 26K. You are expecting a payment, or payment means either you can pay or you can receive, right? Suppose you are going to receive 26K 10 years from now. Okay. And this 26K is, let's say, a bond, right? You're going to receive, of course, the bonds don't have such face value as 26K. All the bonds have face value of 1,000. So if you're holding 2 bonds, then it's going to be 20K. If you're holding 3 bonds, it's going to be $3,000, right? But just hypothetically, ignore that and let's assume that you're going to receive. You have a bond that that will mature in 10 years, right? You have a bond that will mature in 10 years, and the face value of the bond is 26K. And currently, you have to wait 10 years. Until then, you can't touch it. But you need cash. You need cash, right? Urgently, right now, you need cash. And someone approaches you and offering money for this bond. I mean, think about it. You can't touch it, but if someone buys it, pay money for this bond, then yeah, you would like to cash it out, right? But then the next question is, what should be the right price, right? What should be the right price if you were to sell it to someone? Well, the answer can be easily found by if we know what is the current prevailing market interest rate, we can easily find it. Let's say prevailing market rate is 10%. If the prevailing current market rate is 10%, then it's exactly the reverse. It's exactly the reverse question, isn't it right? Currently, you have 10K. Original. Let's get back to our original question. The original question was, original problem was, you have 10K. Market interest rate is 10%, right? So if you put it in the bank for 10 years, how much is it going to be? It's going to be 26K, right? But then, so that was the original question. Forget about it now. You have this bond that will mature in 10 years, and then in year 10 is going to be, so you will receive 26,000 at the end of year 10. So until then, you can't touch it. I mean, it's not because it's not going to mature. But what you can do is you can sell it. So if someone wants to buy it, what should be the right price? The right price will have to be exactly 10K. It's the reverse, is exactly the reverse question. Why? Why 10K? Because nobody will pay anything more than 10K. Why? Because if they buy it now, if anyone buys it from you now, they will have to wait 10 years. And in 10 years, if they are going to receive only 26K, then they can do the same thing. They can do the same thing by putting 10K in the bank now. Right? Does that make sense? So in other words, anyone who wants to buy this bond from you, anyone who wants to buy this bond from you has no incentive to pay anything more than 10K, because they can do the same by putting that 10K in the bank today, and 10 years later, they reach the same result. They reach the same conclusion, right? They can get the same maturity value 10 years from now. And also for you, there is no reason to sell it below 10K. Isn't that right? You have no incentive to sell it below 10K because if you received 10K, then you put it in the bank. I mean, of course, you are urgently in need of cash, so there's no reason you would put it back in the bank. But if you put it in the bank, 26K is what you can, what it's going to accrue to in 10 years. So let's say you receive 9K. 9K won't reach this 26K. So for you, there is no reason to receive less than 10K, right? For this bond, right? If you were to sell it. Again, if you're really, then it's the question of how urgent you are, right? You're very urgent, and in the market there is no one who is willing to pay 10K. But of course, in the market, that's what the free market comes into play. There will be multiple buyers and multiple sellers. And if there are multiple buyers, these buyers, there will be someone who is willing to pay 9K, but there is someone who is willing to pay 10K. And if you can choose, you want you won't choose the guy who is willing to pay only 9K. You will choose the guy who's willing to pay 10K at least minimum. And if there is someone who is willing to pay 11K, of course, then you will go for that. But again, there will be no one among the buyers, right? There will be no one who is willing to pay more than 10K because they know they can do better. I mean, if they were to pay 11K, that's clearly not the rational thing because they can do better by just putting 10K in the bank and right reach the 26K. Now, so that's where the market price is settled, right? Buyers have no incentive to pay more than 10K. Sellers have no incentive to accept less than 10K. So then the buyer and seller see eye to eye. They meet at 10K exactly, right? So that's basically that's what is called present value. Right? This principle is the present value. If you're looking at it from the future value, the standpoint of the future value, right? In other words, so we know FV10 is P times 1 plus R raised to N. That's not H, that's N. Then in the previous example, this was known. This was the unknown, and everything else was known. This was known, this was known, this was known. But let's say in the second example, this is the unknown. Isn't that right? In the second example, this is the unknown, and this is known. In other words, this is known as 26K, right? This is unknown, right? And everything else is known. It's 1.1 raised to 10, right? So what do you do? I mean, when P is the unknown, what do? You'll have to, then P will be FVN well, it's as if this computer is taking a lot of RAM. Why is it so slow? Yeah, it's taking up a lot of. Okay, I think I better just delete, erase everything. FVN over 1 plus R raised to N. Okay. Now, when P is the unknown, and if you solve for the P, and then this P is the principal, is called present value. In other words, Principal is the present value from future values perspective, right? From the future's perspective, because we know this is known, future value is known. And then what is unknown is the principal. So from the future's perspective, principal is the present value, value at the present, at time zero. In other words, this is the value at time zero, right? Present value is literally value at time zero. Now, this formula is, if you wonder, I mean, you shouldn't be wondering why, because this is very basic logic. In other words, you can compare this to z equals x times y. Okay, so if future value is like z, p is like x, p is like x, and y is p, what I'm trying to say, p is like x, and this term 1 plus r raised to n is like y. Okay, so then we all know if x is the unknown, if you solve this for x, then it's going to be z over y, right? That's not a difficult thing. Okay, if you want to know y, that's z over x. And although this is a very simple basic math, this type, and this is, if you think about it, between x and y, there's an inverse relationship if you think about it, right? If z is constant, if z, come on.
Excuse me, Professor.
Yeah.
Why did we change the value? Why did we change the variables to z and y?
It's an analogy. I'm only using an analogy. I mean, just to make it simple, z is fv is like z, p is like x, y is like 1 plus r to the n. In other words, it's a simplification of, think about it. This is a multiplicative relation, isn't that right? Between fv and p and 1 plus r raised to n, they are in a multiplicative relation. Isn't that right? They are in a multiplicative relation. In a multiplicative relation is also and to sum it up in a very simplistic way, any multiplicative relation can be captured by this, z equals x times y analogy, right? In other words, it's just a generalization of, you would understand it better if I put it this way, but you know, this is not a generalization, right? I mean, there can be 12 equals 3 times 4, it goes without saying. But that's only one unique case of 12 and 3 and 4, right? I mean, there can be, it could be 6 times 2, or examples can be anything, like 18 equals, you know, 6 times 3. We need some generalization, isn't that right? That's why we use algebra. We cannot be always, you know,
that makes
you
sense.
understand, right? We cannot always use, you know, a specific case, and not to just limit our, not to limit ourselves only to only a specific case. We need a generalization. So, hence, you know, I mean, isn't it exactly this future value? Isn't it exactly that? Future value equals p times 1 plus r raised to n. Isn't it exactly the same thing as 12 equals 3 times 4? And 12 equals 3 times 4, if we generalize it, it's like z equals x times y. And this kind of multiplicative relation can be also, if you flip it and solve it for either x or y, it would be in the form of fraction. It will be a divisional relation or fractional relation, right? And then if the, this is called, this is divisor, this is dividend, numerator is dividend, isn't that right? Oh, was this dividend? But as long as the z is constant, right, then we see inverse relationship between x and y. We will see inverse relationship between x and y, because if this goes up, think about it. If this goes up while z is constant, this will have to go down, and vice versa. If this goes down, this will go up. I will have to put it here in the correct order. Right? Makes sense? And although this may seem like a very easy and simple equation, but this holds actually key to a lot of things. This holds key to even universe. Why? Why do you, I don't know if I have time. I don't have time for that. But think about it. The present value, how do we find the present value or principal? In other words, when principal is the unknown, all you need to do is, simply solve it in reverse. In other words, previously, future value was the unknown previously, right? But, and then a p and 1 plus r, the other variables are all known, n and r and p are known. But if p is the unknown, oh, why is this happening? If p is the unknown, will I be able to? Okay, we're out of time. If p is the unknown, you solve that original equation in reverse order, right? It's like reverse engineering, right? I can't find it, but you get the idea. Well, we're out of time, so I'm gonna have to. If you have any questions so far, any questions?
I got a
Any
question.
Hmm?
I'm noticing on the schedule it says 40 today.
It says what?
12:40. It's only 11:51.
No. Monday
Oh.
we have until 11:50. Wednesday we have until 12:40.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm
it's Monday.
getting mixed up.
Yeah. I know. I got confused last time. Actually, I have another class. Section 1300 is starting at 1 o'clock, and I
Okay.
got confused. I got confused. And last Monday, I started section 1300 at 2 o'clock, and the students were there from 1 p.m. A lot of them left. But Monday we have only 1 hour. Okay. All righty.
I'll tell you
Any
one
other
thing.
questions? Any
All
other
right.
questions? All righty. Any other questions? All right. So I'm gonna have to stop recording and sign out. Have a great afternoon, everyone. I will see you
Likewise.
guys.
Thank you,
All
Professor.
right,
You
you're
too.
welcome.
Stay safe
Yeah,
now.
you too, Natasha. Thank you. All righty, I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Okay.